So has a lot of your growth since that merger been either increased user counts or kind of cross-sell, upsell, or is a lot of it also new logos?
Yeah, everything. We had 122 new logos last year, and we probably increased just spend within our base 15 or 20%.
Hey guys, Damien Stevens, host of MSP Mindset, founder and CEO of Servosity. Today, I continue my mission to interview 100 of the fastest growing and most interesting MSPs on the planet. Today, I am joined by Jayme Branson. And believe it or not, he built an $8 million MSP in Montana. And he did it by breaking all the traditional rules, like no vertical, not selling off cabling or VoIP businesses and focusing purely on the MSP. And what's crazier is he added 120 new logos in the last year alone. So if you've ever thought my market's too small, I can't do this, then you're not going to want to miss out on my conversation with Jayme today. Jayme, tell me how you became an MSP. I mean, it's not the normal route.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. This just came up yesterday. I started out in the voice world. I worked for a company called AT&T and Lucent, Via, kind of back in the early 90s. And when we sold voice PBX systems, we sold carrier solutions for companies, and that's all evolved. Started out in frame relay and evolved to MPLS and now, internet. So, that's where I was a voice guy. And we learned, many years ago, you've got to diversify in the technology. And the IT space was, to me, that was the primary technology that people needed. As we would install voice solutions, we were always working with an IT company to try to help us, fix something or get something on the network. So that, those early beginnings were all voice. What's cool is I learned a lot about customer service. I learned a lot about dealing with, how customers dealt with clients. And so being non-typical, a lot of the guys that I'm friends with now in the IT space, they started out in their garage, and fixing things and that kind of a path. And we kind of came into it from a different space. So you sort of, or go ahead.
No, I was just curious, what did that teach you about customer service? Because like you're saying, a lot of us came up through the normal, started out in the IT space and just kind of grew from there.
Yeah. Just that people matter and I've done this. I was laughing with somebody yesterday on the phone side. Even I would go in and I would explain a T1 to a customer and how it worked and all the channels, like they cared one bit. Right. And right. So so I did that. So that's my background, is doing those kinds of things. And I, realized after, years after that, but still that wasn't what people want to know. They just want to know, how's it work? What are the business outcomes? How's it going to help our business? So also in the telecom side, we learned a lot about that type of a presentation, right? People just want to know, am I going to save money? Am I going to make money? Am I going to, how is this going to help my business? So again, fast forward into the IT space, a lot of my buddies are those, they know everything. They can fix anything. They're just really deep into the technology. And so we have a bunch of those guys. When we bought an IT company about 4 years ago. And so we integrated a whole bunch of those guys with a whole bunch of voice, people. And it was extremely painful for a while. It was hard to do that. But
in two different worlds.
The geeky fixer, investigator type people have a softer edge to them, and they're more customer focused. And the telephony, more customer oriented people, it amazes me to listen to them talk about, do a cybersecurity presentation or a security awareness training, or just do an interview with a customer that might be, a potential new client for us, how technical they've become. So in the end, it was worth it, and it was really it's turned out to be a really good thing. But that's that's what that looked like, melding of those two groups of people.
Interesting. So was your business an MSP or doing much IT work? Was it almost all VoIP or voice type stuff, and then you brought the tech company in, or?
Yeah, we were mostly a VoIP company, and we did, and again, the carrier services. When we bought the IT firm, that also came with a cabling division. In the cabling division, they do camera system surveillance, and then door access control, a lot of fiber work. So all of a sudden, we were this tech company, and that's why, hence the name. We kind of combined all of our names to be Granite Technology Solutions, because we just have different aspects of technology that we deliver to our clients now. So that was when that day happened, we had to figure out how to do this. We went to all of our cabling clients, and we asked them if they wanted to buy IT or phone stuff, equipment or technology, and went to IT and said, "Do you want some voice?" Went to the voice. "Do you need some IT?" And so it's been a lot of cross selling, I guess. And we have some customers. We do everything we do. They do one of from us, and we have some customers we just do one thing for, and everything in between.
Now, tell me about the merger in terms of headcount. Was it fairly equal, or was one much larger than the other?
Yeah. So we were Montana Phone before the merger, and again, focused on VoIP and phone systems. We were about 12 or 13 people, and the firm that we acquired, Granite, was about 16 or 17 people. Okay. So close, but they were a little bigger than us.
Okay. Interesting when you're acquiring a business that has a little bit more headcount, even if it was a big difference, but it's still a little more. That's a big undertaking, period. Even if it was already IT, to double in size or more.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a lot to bite off.
Oh, the more people, we're in two different cities, 200 miles between us. We had a model of helping anyone, anywhere, get up at 3 a.m. and drive across the state to fix something. Their model was, even though we're in Montana, it was a 50-mile radius. Pretty much 90% of the work, maybe 95, was in that. So they just built their business a little different than we had. We had customers that extended out 10 or 15 states because, they would open an office, and phones are a lot easier to support remotely than doing IT work. Theirs was very, almost everybody was in that circle. They had maybe a couple outside of the circle. So culture, technology, people, it was very much, it was way harder than I thought it was going to be. And I'm not complaining, but It was a lot of work to do that.
What drove you to do that?
Again, it was looking at the industry and looking at the market, looking where things were going. Phones were, moving completely onto the IT network, right? So that was a big part of the reason is, PBXs are moving away. I think maybe 8-10% of our customers still have one of those. The 90% of them don't. In the IT space, there's just a constant churn of, stuff lasts 3 to 5 years and then it churns. Phones, gosh, we had people at 20 years and we would go in and say, "You really need to upgrade." Well, why? It's only 20 years old, So just a different mindset between voice and IT. So we just felt like this would be a better position for our overall market to be able to serve more people with a greater number of, technology things for just our future.
Hey guys, Damien here. As I continue to interview the top MSPs in the world, one thing has become incredibly clear. It's time that we let go. Even more than that, every time I focus on my zone of genius and get out of the way and do the very few things I'm good at and delegate to others, I'm ready for that next level of growth. So if you're ready for that next level of growth, one way that I could help you is with Servosity. We co-manage your backups and disaster recovery so you can focus on what you do best, let us do the rest. And then what we do is we test the backups every single day so you never have to worry. If you'd like to learn more, click the link below. So today you've managed to build, so if I do my math right, you were somewhere near 30 with the acquisition and the two companies together. Today you're at like 41 employees and you've built a $8 million business in solely, or, you have a few clients, I suppose, but basically focused on Montana. And the reason I bring that up is obviously amazing, beautiful state. We can get into that, but so many MSPs tell me, I'm not in a tier 1 market. I can't. So, what do you attribute to your ability to build such a sizable business in, frankly, a state most people wouldn't think of for being certainly not tier 1, right? Much further down on the, you're not in any gigantic major metro area, right?
Yeah, no, our biggest towns are 120,000 people, maybe. Most of them half that size, and then I should say most, 5 or 6 of them are half that size, and then they get smaller from there. So very rural market, appointments that are 100 miles in between. People spread out. I'll tell you, it's a big question. I can give you a few of the things we know for sure. So the people that work here, one of the most amazing things is that people that work here have a passion for customer service. Even we've already talked about the techs and the fixers, and we pell our heads, we make fun a little bit of their tech, but they just have, all of them have a passion. Theirs is to help people by fixing something. The sales team, it's more help people by giving them the options and the solutions. So that core group of people, even though it was the hardest thing I've ever done, I probably wouldn't do it again. It was that hard. I mean, it was.
I can't imagine.
Bringing cultures together over a large area, hundreds of miles, just culture differences in every way, right? And it's done. It's 4 years later, they are together. They're one team. That part was tough, but the people made a big difference. We're here. What else are we going to do, right? That's part of it. I mean, I don't mean to dumb it down, but it's like, that's what we take a look at what your market is. And, the best question I get from any vendor, anybody that's trying to do business with us is, what's your vertical? It's a huge question. And I used to try to answer it better. Like, well, we focus on, we got a lot of banks, we got a lot of CPAs, we got a lot of engineering. But honestly, our vertical is everybody. That's our vertical. I mean, we don't do a lot of federal contract stuff. We don't do really huge clients. We have some, but we don't do very many. Our vertical, or our market, is small and medium business, and really emphasis on small. They're everywhere. They're all over the place. They do all kinds of things. They all do it differently. They all have an air of independence about them. So I talk to, friends and peers in my industry, and they're like, to build the right kind of company, you got to get everybody to fit in this box. We have everybody buy these kind of computers and these kind, we do it. Everything's got to fit in here. And, it's not that we wouldn't love for that to happen, but it's not who our customers are. Mm-hmm. They're all independent. They're all different. They're all trying to make a difference in what they do. And so that's an element that we just had to embrace, because that's who we are and that's where we are. Mm. Another big factor is when I did work for the large company, AT&T and Lucent, and I did a lot of carrier services with CenturyLink, and they're now Lumen, and a few others. But there's a thing about being a national company, a national provider of service. It's the people that work there are great, but they're just so big, it's very difficult to reach out and touch someone.
Yeah.
And so when you have a billing problem, it affects tens of thousands of people, not three, right? Or not 100. And when you
Right.
have a whatever kind of if you lay off people, you don't lay off two people, you lay off 2,000 people, and that just impacts every customer you have because services. So I went through some of that in some of these places that I worked, and I watched that, and I learned from that. And sometimes you learn more working at a company having some struggle, and you learn more from that than you learn from working at a successful company. So, and you learn both ways. But just watching some of I would get calls from my customers saying, just crying, like, could you just get me a bill? Could you just get a guy over here? We've been down for 3 days. Could you? And, this is 10, 15 years ago, but still, I mean, we could put somebody on the moon, right? But we can't get somebody to get from this place, 30 miles over to this building to fix a problem. So that really ignited something in me to just say, we're going to be good at taking care of customers. And that might be the original driver. And I've had job offers, and gosh, you're familiar in this industry. You get a buyout letter every week, right? Somebody wants to buy you, maybe even multiple times a week. Somebody's always trying to buy you. But the promise I made to myself and to those clients was, we're not going to leave you, right? We're not going to leave you behind. We're not going to sell out. We're not going to put you in a hard situation because of a national company's inability to reach out and support you. So that was just a big driver of why we just keep digging in and doing what we do, because I felt like the experience from a national firm was pretty rough. So that's, I guess, all those combined is maybe some of the reasons where we are today.
So I'm going to challenge you, Jayme, because I don't doubt the people part. I want to talk about that. But if I boil down what you just said, I feel like it comes down to better customer service. But doesn't every MSP say, I've got better support?
Yeah.
So how did you win? I mean, there's just so many ways in a small market. You could be a very small MSP. And I think most people, I've had many MSPs say, I'm in a small market. I can't ever get that big.
Yeah.
How are you guys where you are? And, you've grown since that acquisition. So it's not like a one-off.
Yeah. Again, I'll say it this way. We, great people, and the customers are great people too. We work hard to pick great customers. They're, little surprise, they're not all great customers. And so we work really hard to pick the great ones and our people, but I think some of it is just, that extra, you call it maybe going the extra mile, or even our competitors. I got to be honest. I mean, I like them. They're my friends. We're not in markets where we're trying to kill each other. And so even that, most of the time when somebody chooses us over them, we do a transition, it's a very peaceful transition. So we've got the benefit of a culture and a state and a place where it's not, people are still, you run into them. You're running into your customers at the grocery store or a school event or your church, or, even out on a trail somewhere. So we've got that going for us. It's not dog eat dog and killer, cutthroat, all that stuff. But there's an element that is just, we do everything in our power to, it's not just, here's how we look at it. It's kind of multi-point. We try to set expectations. We try to back that up with an email and maybe a printed material and a link to a how-to video. So we do some of that kind of stuff. We worked very, very hard on building rinse and repeat processes, so there's no surprises to customers. And we mess that up all the time. I mean, we try, but we're always messing up. But every time we mess something up, we've got different people that document that and they tweak our processes. And then the next time we do it better. And so we've got years of doing that where even though we have a process and everybody is different, and it's so hard because you try to do things your way and then everybody's got unique and independent. So, but we just go through those cycles and we just try to get better on every single implementation, every onboarding, and we care. I mean, the last thing is just you call anybody that works here and they'll stop what they're doing and they'll help you. They care, and they're hikers, bikers. We have an inside state rivalry between football teams, but so we're always giving each other, trash talking. They're goat farmers, right? They raise chickens. Some have kids, some don't. Some hike, some bike, but I forget our phrase, but we kind of coined this a couple years ago, and we started asking the question, who is Granite? And the answer to that was, we are you. I mean, that was what we discovered is we're our customer. We're them. They're us. We all do the same things. And so since we know that about them and they know that about us, we just work really hard to meet them where they are. And we kind of know what they want. They don't want to call at 4:45 and be told, we'll get back to you in 8 business hours, right? They don't want to. They don't want to call and say, I'm down, and say, well, sorry, we're not going to be able to help you for a week. We know that they want to know if we're going to have somebody show up tomorrow. Maybe give us a call, let us know, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of mapped what we do, that being the core concept of they're just like us, we're just like them. So let's treat them like we would want to be treated.
So how has that helped you win? Because I guess I can kind of see what you're saying if you're competing versus some MSP outside of the state or outside of even one of the cities. But, you have some competitors, of course. They're in the same city. They probably understand your customer's way of life pretty well. So I don't, what I'm trying to get at is how does one build an $8 million MSP in Montana or an $8 million tech company in Montana? And how do you keep growing? Because the customers are voting.
Yeah, they do.
I'm curious if you have any why do you keep growing? Why do you keep winning?
I'll keep adding to this. So one thing that's happening in the industry, and I don't know, it's probably already happened in bigger places, but in Montana, the small market that has traditionally not had a managed service provider. They were more of a break fix experience for IT support or a DIY, right? Do it yourself. So we've tapped into that space. I say that like we did a big, huge $1 million market study and it's who we are. It's where we are, right? So we just started working with people that happen to be very small. So some of our growth has come from that. We've got teams that are really good at the cross-pollination. So, if 4 years ago we probably had maybe 40 customers that had multiple, services that we offer. Now we probably have 400, right? So we've really grew, once somebody found us or we found them and we learned that we were a good fit and they like us, we like them, and they trust us to support them, then it's not that hard to start doing more things for them. And they found it easy to have us add on to what we did for them. And we found it easy to want to do that. So smaller markets, just cross-pollinating and helping customers with maybe 3 or 4 things that we do versus just 1 or 2. The market's growing. Montana's economy has been strong. So most of our contracts, if they started out with, I think our average maybe 12 users, and that, gosh, my friends are like, how do you run a business on that, right? And I'm like, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know how we do it.
Right.
and they're 12 users. They don't want to. It's we can tell them it's $10, and that's like $10. It's really tough for them to, the money's tight, but they've all grown, 10, 15, 20%. So our user counts have increased just from, without, adding new logos, it's increased just from growth.
So has a lot of your growth since that merger been either increased user counts or kind of cross-sell, upsell, or is a lot of it also new logos?
Yeah, everything. We had 122 new logos last year. And we probably increased just spend within our base 15 or 20%. So both areas, and we've intentionally, I'm such a diversification type of an approach to things. So I wanted to have a business with 4, 5, 6, 7 different paths. And honestly, it's hard, but I like having different industries and verticals that we work with and different size clients. And the same is true. I would hate to be just a new logo company or just a base company where we're growing from within. So it's been a very good mix. It was literally like 61 or 2 or 3 new and about the same for internal, internal growth. So, and where we took on a new, some kind of a new product or service with them.
Wow. So if you brought on 60 plus new logos, like most people don't do that in 5 years.
I know.
What do you guys do to get new customers? You just put out a ad on the highway and they just sign up, or like how does this work?
Yeah, I think what it was, I should look this stat up, but I think it was 60 something new logos for IT and 60 something for voice. I believe that was the breakdown. So, and then I can't remember how many base upgrades we did, but over 100. So that was the numbers. And I apologize, I don't remember exactly. And
yeah, no worries.
But again, it was adding on, the small clients. On the phone side, there's still a number of people that are moving over to the VoIP world. So we've even gone from, for a few years, we were just moving over PBXs into the cloud for VoIP services. Now we're getting a lot of word of mouth. We did a huge SEO push the last 18 months. We're getting a lot more, we used to get maybe 1 lead every 2-3 weeks out of our website. It's not 1 a day, but it's several a week come in. So that's helped. We seem to be the go-to partner up here for phones. We've grown into that position. You work and you work and you work and you work. You want to be that where people just call you, and I don't know what happened, but just we woke up one day and we just were getting calls from, customer referrals and word of mouth. So some of it, I think, is that. I think our growth helped us actually get, more leads in the door.
So we've been talking about the people and how they make the difference. What does that really mean to you?
Well, to me, I just love this conversation, and I'll tell you why. Because I personally just love people. I just love people. I love talking to them. I love finding out about them. I love finding out about how they run their business. I've never had the saying, I've never worked a day in my life because I just love what I do. But it's not just me. And that's what the difference is, I think, in the last few years is it's almost everybody that works here has that same approach. They just love what they do, and I can see it in them. I can hear it in them. And for me, it's fun because I'm not the one running around banging the drum anymore. I got a whole bunch of people that are banging the drum and just trying to make a difference for people. So making a difference is just doing it either different in a good way or better in a good way, or doing it, for us, we work really hard to understand what our customers want. And then that's what we do. And if this customer wants us to call them 15 minutes before we come every time, it's not easy, but they make a note. We got a need to know file. And if that's something that's really important to them, we do that. And it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the model everybody tries to build. The model that people try to build is get everybody to fit in this box and do it that way, and you'll be more profitable and it'll be better for everybody. But we have failed at getting everybody into a box, and we do the very best we can to keep our box as small as we can, but ours is a lot bigger because we can't crunch people any further because we don't want to crunch them any further.
Mm-hmm.
We want to treat them like they want to be treated, and they respond to that, and then they tell people about it. I'll say one thing. I want to give some credit to our marketing team and kind of what, they do. They work hard. I mean, every lead is a win for them. It's like making a new friend every time they get a lead, and that's how they see it. And so every time something comes in, and again, it's almost daily, they're calling them and talking to them. And we've added, we got a virtual assistant, we got all this technology, and we've got, referral programs and customer meet and greets and raving fans. And they've just, for a number of years now, been working on that. And again, it was one of those things where we woke up one day and we had raving fans, and we were number one on a lot of the searches and number two on a bunch of others. And it didn't just happen. It felt like that because it just happened, but it's a lot of hard work from those teams.
When did you start investing in marketing? Was that only recently, or was that many, many years ago?
Oh, many, many years ago. Again, coming out of a sales and marketing driven company, I learned the value of that a long time ago, which is interesting. I've been in a lot of peer group meetings with other IT owners, and they don't have a sales team. They don't have a marketing budget. It's not something that they grew up believing in, and they've done fine. They've got very good companies, and they just don't use those tools. Me coming from that background is a very big deal. And I'm kind of creative, so it's fun to me to think up things, and they just shut my door when I start talking. They don't want to listen to any more of my stuff. They got it. And they do. They have it. They don't need my help anymore. But a long time ago, but we really, in the last few years, finally, grew enough that we had a little bit of marketing budget. We could actually do some things ahead of time. Like SEO, it takes some time and money and energy to build that out for a state like Montana. So that was a 6, 8, 10-month project to get to fully develop some of that last year, and building campaigns, and invested in tools like HubSpot, and that you buy it, but I was on a training class this morning for an hour, learning another little workflow. So it takes time for that stuff to come to fruition, but all those things combined, I think, is over the years, and especially in the last couple of years, how we kind of really got into marketing and getting those leads in the door.
So I can get why you care, and a lot of owners, they're very similar.
Right.
How did you go about hiring and finding people that also care?
Yeah. Pretty non-traditional. I hired our director of operations, comes out of the hospitality space. And so she's got a heart for hospitality and serving people. And she's our second in command here. She runs a lot of our business, works with a lot of the services team. And it's an interesting dynamic because you go to a fixer and their heart is to fix things and to get home and geek out on building a spaceship or, a computer they just got such a passion for the technology. So she's found a way to harness, the fixers and the customer service elements and bring those things together. And it's not perfect. And you need people that just want to fix, and got other people that've got a passion to go out and meet and greet. But I think Jess, I think she just instills a lot of that into our team. Bailey is our marketing director, and she, same thing. She's a a person that every single complaint, every single survey is not a 5 or a 6 star, right? I mean, we go to 5 star and then 6 star if it's outstanding. And if it's a 4.5, she's on the phone. What do we do? What do we do? I'm going to send 19 guys over there tomorrow and get that up to a 5. I mean, she will not let one thing get through. And that's her heart, right? To just do that. So again, I think there's so many things that my competitors do that are so good. They've got really strong technical teams, and I've learned so much from them, and I really appreciate the guys that I compete with. But something we've got is this customer orientation to service and hospitality, and Bailey's gone through everything we say, and if you get an auto response, it's not going to say, this person's out of office. It's going to say, yo, dude, what are you doing? It's everything's lighter, and fresh and fun. She's put a lot of fun into our communication style. So that culture is something that they're driving, and other people are, jumping on board with it. And that's just continues to evolve in our company.
So did you continue to hire people from service or hospitality? Is that a one-off?
No, we've continued. We've hired, 4 or 5 people from that industry. The techs, we work hard to find techs that can, are comfortable speaking with customers, because a lot of them are just, let me just fix it, right? But and it's hard. But we hire guys that just are really good fixers, and you can ask them anything and they'll tell you. They just would rather not get in the car and go over and, do a presentation in front of a bunch of people. But when we started building out our TAM force a few years ago, as we gained these IT customers, we realized we needed more attention than the voice customers did. So those guys are kind of the bridge. They're the unicorn in between all the fluffy and all the fixing and all the project management and all the licensing. So those guys are very unique. And, one of those guys had zero technology background. We wanted somebody that had more of the people skills. The next one, we got somebody that had a lot of technical skills and, good people skills, but a lot of tech. So they worked together, and we're in the process of, I've hired a third one, and we're in the process of bringing that person into the fold. And he's got a lot of analytics and a lot of project management skills, a lot of organization, a lot of leadership. So I guess we're just non-traditional hirers, and we continue to probably stay on that path.
What does that mean to you, non-traditional hires? I get it. I've done that too, but I'd love to hear your take on what that means and what you're looking for that's different.
Like our sales team, right? We've had sellers here that we didn't keep because they were sellers. We want account managers. We want people that care. So a really good seller, and I have lots and lots and lots and lots of seller friends, right? And they just know how to get a deal put together, and they get the deal in the door, and then they want to move on to the next thing. Mm-hmm. Our group of sellers have either started in a more traditional mindset and moved into this more customer care mode where they can do selling and handle some of the account management. And those are the winners, right? And some of them we built from ground up, and some of them came into us and we got them to sort of see it our way. And again, it's back to, what do people want? Well, they don't want you to sell them something and disappear. They want you to, finish what you started and stay connected to them and be, have a relationship with them. So that's how we did the sellers, right? The project team, we didn't hire any project managers because way back we couldn't afford a project manager to start with. So we hired people that sort of did coordinating. They grew into project managers, and they grew into project managers with a filter of hospitality and service. Now they're the ones that are like, hey, quit saying all that stuff out there and being so nice. We got to get this thing done. And so they kind of keep us on track, but they've got a heart for service and hospitality. And then even the fixers, again, we're looking for techs and system admins that are comfortable talking with people and not just doing it, but being able to explain part of why they're doing things and help people understand. And so it's harder for them. They do it and they're doing good at it. But I think that's some of the reasons why we do it the way we do it.
Jayme, so you've hired people out of hospitality. You've hired all these different people that don't fit the norm. But the problem I've seen is when you take away the 4-year degree or this or that, like if you just say anybody can apply, even if you're in hospitality, like you're going to get hundreds, if not thousands of resumes. So how do you approach that? And has that worked for you? And has that mattered?
Yeah, no, to your point, we do have to sift through a lot of resumes. But we still hire traditionally. We don't hire, not everybody comes out of the hospitality space. We found that I guess we just are going after people, right? I mean, but we do need the guys with 4-year degrees, and we do need the people with 5 years experience in particular skills. And so we have a lot of those. We benefited from bringing in the people out of the hospitality and the services industry, customer services industry, customer success. We benefited because of the melding of that in our culture. And so the guys that are just super techie and system admins that are they can do anything, on a network, have benefited from some of the customer service, in our culture. So that perspective, because in a traditional, they all say it, they come here and they're like, wow, this place is different. Well, we're not, a million miles different. We're just a little different. And then we're different in the way that we talk about people and the way that we care about things. And that part melded with fixing things that are broken and managing things that need to be managed in technology. The two have just proven to be a really good recipe for what we do.
So what else is the secret sauce there? If you have so many people that really care in terms of your culture, is it something you share in terms of vision and values? Is it something you look for when you hire? What would you say it is?
Gosh, it's funny. One little piece, I won't put too much on this, but one of the things I've done, we've got 4 people that work here that came out of different industries, and I hired them as our customer success manager. That was their first job. And the first one was like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, well, that means that anything we do, we just want to make sure that our customers feel like they're being taken care of and that we're putting emphasis on what they want, right? So it's not just about us. It's about them. It's about us. We work together. The next one was the customer. I think it was experience manager. Same thing. I want anything we do. I want the customer's experience to be just as high as it can be. And what's that mean? Well, go figure it out. And these were people that came from different industries. So I'm like, just put your thing on. So that one would work maybe 6 months or a year and then move into a different role here, go hire another one. And the last one was customer experience manager, but their focus was twofold. It was, I want you to put a lot of energy into how our customers experience us and the things we do to make sure they feel cared about and that we're making a difference and that we understand and communicate all those normal things. But then I said, I also want you to focus on everybody that works here. I want everybody that works here to experience Granite in a good way. And I want you to listen to them and find out what we're doing wrong and anything that we can make better. And so that person also did that. And And of course, there's always stuff we could do better, right? We're just constantly learning about what people want. And, I mean, if somebody said, well, I'd like to only work 1 day a month. Well, we can't accommodate that, right? We need you to work more. And nobody said that, but
Right.
there are limits to what we can do, but we're flexible as an employer. If you've got your kid sick or your parents sick or your dog sick or whatever it is, if you need to go and take care of that, go and take care of it, right? I mean, because it's, it's how we would want to be treated, right? We just want people life happens. So we kind of have that philosophy. We added a thing called adventure days, right? It's like a day off. It's a vacation day, but it's like you have to use it. You can't use it to stay home and meet the plumber. You have to use it to go do something fun. But it's free. We give you a day off. You get a few of those a year. So we learned that people in Montana, we've already talked about how much they like the outdoors. We just started adding those kinds of things to our program. Mm. And so we just started that internally. We find out, they're refreshed a little bit more, rested. They're a little bit more refreshed, a little bit more fun. And then they in turn are a little bit more excited to take care of our clients. So we've started working those two things together in the last, 24 months, maybe something like that. We had those adventure days 2 or 3 years ago, but that's the kind of things that we do. To me, it's just, we do one little thing, we do another little thing, but we've done 100 little things over the last year. And some of them stand out bigger than others, but most of it is just listening and caring. And then if you're around people that listen and care, then you kind of get better at listening and caring. And then the guy next to you gets better. It's been like that.
So tell me about those adventure days. You said you can't meet the plumber. You got to go do something. So do they come back to share, or what's that? What's that?
The first year, that's what we did. Is I said, okay, we're going to do. I think we did 2 adventure days. You can't use it for doctor appointment or sick day. It's got to be. You got to go hike, bike, climb, swim, whatever, paddle. You got to go do something. And we made him bring a picture back. Well, let me tell you, you take a guy that doesn't really want to be put on the spotlight and say, bring a picture back of something fun you did. That was we didn't do that the next year because there were some people that were uncomfortable with that. And nothing against them. They just were like, I don't want to do that. Some we had hanging off of a side of a mountain and riding their bike down a mountain, all those different things. We got lots of cool pictures and it was fun. And then it took, right? It ended up taking. And so we just every year at the beginning of the year, we look at how we did last year and what we've got ahead of us and where we're at as a company. And we give out between 2 and 4 adventure days for people to use throughout the year. And sometimes one year, I think it was 2 years ago, we gave out 2 or 3 and we added one at the end of the year just because we had gone through a big system thing and everybody's a little bit tense. And so we said, hey, everybody try to get one more day off, worked into your schedule. So nice. They were just intended to be fun. Instead of calling them a PTO day or something boring, our team they just said, we're going to have adventure days and that's what we're going to do here. And so people like it.
Yeah, that's really cool, especially given Montana.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Now, what about the other things you were saying? You said, I think you were telling me that there's somebody focused on the customer success or experience and how you make that better, as well as the same thing, but for your team?
Same person, but yeah, we added what I was saying is we took this traditional customer experience role and we added in employee experience to that and had them focus on both. What we realized was we're putting all this energy on our customers and we were neglecting our internal team, all of us, right? And so we said, why don't you work, why don't you do both? Why don't you let's do the same thing we do with our customers, learn what they want, let's learn what works. What are the problems? What are things that people don't like about being here? Any of those kind of things. And so we turned our attention to kind of 50-50 out of that role.
Mm.
And it happened at the same time as we were able to, we're always working on our systems, automating. Well, just like everybody, we're trying to figure out how to use AI better than, we used to. And we're automating workflows. And so once we got through with all the merger of all the systems and all the culture, it just seemed like the next logical step was to work on the people and make sure everybody felt, nurtured and cared about, and they wanted to be here. I mean, you look at hiring people, especially during COVID, we quickly went to a plan of whatever it takes to keep our team, and that COVID drove that. Because, even interviewing somebody, it's like, well, I'm not coming in for an interview. I don't want to get, die if I come over there and you guys got COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So we really put an emphasis during the COVID years of really hanging on to our team. And so this customer and employee experience work was just kind of a graduated role there, a 3.0 employee care, just trying to increase that. We've learned that we didn't have a program for orthodontics, and somebody figured that out last year. And so this year, when we did our renewals on our benefits, we added an orthodontics program. Mm-hmm. And we used to not have an employee assistance thing. I didn't even know that existed. I mean, I didn't know. And so we added that. And, last year instead of doing we do a picnic every summer, again, take advantage of the outdoors and bring everybody together. And we do this in the summer. The weather in the winter, it's hard to get, people to traverse the state on a planned day a month ahead, because we don't know what that day is going to bring for weather and road conditions. So we really plan on do these get-togethers in the summer. It's more reliable. And so last year we did a deal where we went out and bought a bunch of really nice gifts, like, backpacks and Yeti coolers and Blackstone grills. And we had around 35, 40 people. And we bought, all of them, but like 3 more gifts. We bought all these things. We put them inside of a tent and we closed it up at the park. And we put all this fun balloons and signs on it. And then we said, and so everybody just kind of, the agendas come in, have a little business meeting, eat some lunch, play some cornhole, visit with everybody, and then go home. But we had this tent, and everybody's just like looking at it, like, what is that? Do not enter, right? And the theme of the picnic was Christmas in July. So then what we did is, after we did the stuff we had to do, then we said, okay, got a surprise. There's some stuff inside that tent. You've got 1 minute to go in there and pick one thing and bring it out. And I had a dolly, because a lot of the things weighed 100 plus pounds.
Yeah, a Blackstone grill or something.
Yeah.
Not light.
Yep. And so and this tent was, 10 by 20. It was just huge. We had this stuff all positioned there. So when you walked in, right, if you just think about how that would feel, you don't know what's in there. First one doesn't. You start to figure it out because you can see, we kept the door shut, but there's a crack where the tent flap. And when they went through, you could kind of see in there.
Yeah.
So they would, so I got to go. I had the dolly, so I went with them, and they started the timer, and we had a lot of people cheering, and had an exciting thing. They go in, they're like, "Wow!" And there's just all this stuff, drones and electric scooters, and we just tried to go get a bunch of fun stuff. And so then panic sets in. They got a minute, but they think they're down to like 11 seconds all of a sudden because of that stress that comes with that. Yeah. And so they're looking around, and they pick something, and I'll throw it on the dolly and roll it out, and and then the next one comes in. We did that 40 times or whatever it was, 37, 38 times.
Yeah.
And by the end, you had a group of people that coming from 4 different places in the state, and there's this semicircle around it, and everybody's cheering for everybody else. Like, wow, look what that guy got. Whoa, way to go, Joe. And it just was a really fun thing. So again, try to take just a normal event and add some, fun to it is a lot of what those guys are working on.
Yeah, that's really cool. You talked about 6-star customer service. What does that mean to you?
Well, to me, it's that over and above, right? And so every month for the last 2 or 3 years, or last 2 or 3 years, probably 2 years, we've given away the 6-star award to someone. And so we get, I don't know, 50-ish on average, maybe 75. I mean, some months we've had over 100, but we take every survey that we get, and a couple people sit down and they read. Well, a lot of people read them, but for the purpose of the 6-star award, we go through and read them, and we look at how many tickets they worked, how many, classes they taught, how many sales they made. We look at all that stuff, but mostly it's about what customer out there truly felt like we went over and above and took care of them. So we look for those kind of survey results. And when we find them, we nominate them for a 6-star award, and they get there's a traveling trophy and a gift card, and they're recognized among their peers for, outstanding work. And so some months we've had 2 or 3, some months we've just had 1. We've never not had one since we started the program. But that's just our way of recognizing somebody that's done exceptional work. And I think a lot of companies have a program for that. That's just what ours looks like.
Interesting. Yeah. So there's this theme where you really do care about your people, your team, and your clients. Sometimes it's only one or the other. Why is this so important to you, Jayme?
To me, I mean, I don't know. I wish I could say it just matters to me. I can't tell you why. In my heart, I care about people.
Yeah.
I pray for the people that work here. I want them to be, I want every one of them, I want them to be able to have a successful career. I want them to, I want to help them if they need help. I want them to learn and get better at what they do. Some of it probably comes from, there's been people in my career that have mentored me or helped me out when I needed help or taught me something. So some of it just comes from that, that helping somebody that's, just to pass that on. But I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I think so many people here are that way, and so many of the people that have guided me through my life were that way. I don't know. I want it to be, I think, having experienced some things that weren't great in life and in different companies and different things that have happened in business and things that, just treating other people like I would want to be treated, and the golden rule, right? Just loving people. And it's what makes me tick, and I love it. And if I just had to come in here and if it was just about running a business and making money and doing quotes and answering email, I don't think I'm not sure I'd be very good at that. But to come in here and to spend time with people and to hear about their lives, and, we're flying around working all day long. It's not like we're just sitting around on bean bags and, but that for me, it's just my core. It's just what makes me tick.
Yeah. It's clear to me that, you had to start a company to build the environment that you wanted.
Yeah.
And now you have a whole team of people that think that way. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
Let me pivot and ask you a different question. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in all your years in business?
Boy, the hardest thing we've ever done, ever. Almost the biggest lesson, but you didn't ask me the hardest thing, but I'm going to tell you the hardest thing.
Okay.
Because it triggered that.
Go for it.
It was that culture, bringing those cultures together from 2 different companies.
Yeah.
So is it a lesson? Yeah, it was a lesson, because I told you, I don't know if I'd do that again. We have done 3 or 4 acquisitions, and we did one after that. It was smaller and it was easier. But to bring 2 organizations that have been around over 20 years two different towns, two different industries, two different markets, everything about us different, other than a very shared customer service driven nature, right? So those things were right. That was hard, and hard in a good way, hard in a bad way, hard in a long way. It's done, but my goodness. And my approach to that was, again, from kind of that an empathy perspective. I didn't want to lose anybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, we just rarely lose anybody, and that's been a big win. But I didn't want to lose those guys, not just because of COVID. I didn't want to be that acquisition where, well, the new company came in and now we have to do this. I didn't want it to be like that. And I didn't want even 1 ounce of their being to be disrupted. I wasn't able to prevent that. It was disruptive to bring systems and people together. But I just tried really hard to make that as minimal as possible. But that was a huge thing. I think the local, national, and I even think almost customer service. I think I started out in a business where it was just about selling. It wasn't very, not that they were bad. We took care of customers at those companies, but it wasn't the focus. And you said you had to start a business to do what you wanted to do. And it got driven by negative things and hard things and things that I didn't think were the best way to run a business. So yeah, that was a lesson about, if you're going to do this, why not do it the right way? At least what I think the right way is, which is starting out with the core, which is people. Mm-hmm. So I did kind of do that on purpose. And I was tempted many times to sell out and merge with somebody else. And, it was hard work. It was very hard work. And, you've been through it too. It's very hard work to run a business. And especially early. I mean, it's never not hard, but it was really hard early.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of the lessons I guess I've learned.
If there's one thing you could go back and do differently, what would that be?
Man, I don't know. I think I couldn't answer this question for you because I'm not sure I could come up with anything. Sure I would do something different. For the most part, 99.9% of my life, I wouldn't change. Obviously, the times I fell off a cliff at something, I would love to prevent some of the pain from some of those mistakes that I made. So if I could think of a really good mistake, I would say, well, yeah, I wouldn't want to do that again. The ones that really hurt, but honestly, even the mistakes, I mean, those where I probably learned the best lessons, the last 20 years. So would I take those away? Well, maybe, because it wouldn't hurt so bad. But honestly, most of the mistakes of, I've hired people, overhired, and then been stuck like, oh my gosh, they're not performing, or we're in a market where we can't. So I had to let somebody go one time, and I hated that. It made me just sick to do that. Mm-hmm. That was a mistake. But that one time, I've been super careful since then to not do that again. Like all of us are. You get burned, you learn not to touch a hot pan, right?
Right.
So I guess there's some of those things, but I don't know which one I would name.
Yeah. What's something, given all that's going on in the world, in your business, in your life, that you're looking forward to right now?
Well, I'm getting older. I'm even this year, I'm committed to fishing more. So I love to fish. Been through a lot of busyness trying to get things in a good spot. Team here's doing really good. I've got a pretty active role here, but I'm trying to carve out Friday afternoons sometimes, or weekends, to do more fishing, more hiking. And so I've got 5 kids, and my wife and I have a big, we got a big family. We got 9 grandkids. Our 9th one's on the way.
Congratulations.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, we just get to be with them so much. They all, most of them are close. We got one that is in Sacramento. She's a pediatrician down there. So she's doing a residency and can't be here right now, but hopefully when she gets done with that, she'll move back. But just spending time with them, fishing, hiking, just doing the outdoors more, letting loose of some of the stuff. And it's easy to do because I've got a very competent team that's already sort of, they look at me like, what are you doing in this meeting? We got it. And so it's starting to give me some more time to be able to do some of that.
What would you say is your biggest challenge currently?
It's funny that you asked that question because you think, here's what I'd like to happen. I'd like to build a process and then and refine it and tune it, refine it and work on it. And then I'd like it to just work. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
It works for a while and then we got to tweak it. And so I wish that we were maybe better at that, but I just think our teams I think there's so much dynamic to our business. Our IT is really up right now. Our voice is starting to slow down. IT's in the middle. Cabling's in the middle. There's just, we're getting smaller customers in a certain market. We're getting bigger customers in another market. So it's really difficult to have this. And I'm a huge believer in step by step, just getting it down to a very rinse and repeat cycle because I want it to be easy for our team, and I want it to be very. I want people to be able to know what to expect is coming, and have it be a repeatable process because it's efficient. So all those things, we work really hard on it and dug on it. We're always working on that, and so I think we're always going to be working on that.
Yeah.
So, but that's maybe the biggest challenge was me getting it. That's just part of what we got to do.
Yeah. If you grow enough, your processes are going to break again, right? So
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. But I can totally relate to I fixed this before. Yeah. Do I have to fix it again? Yeah.
Yeah. I had to call a guy this morning first thing and apologize for a conversation we had yesterday because he came up with a little bitty hole in a big process that we just fixed. I was like, no, you didn't find that.
That's funny.
Stop. And I was totally not willing to listen to him yesterday afternoon. And he was helping. He found a hole and it was right. And we do have to fix it.
Yeah.
So it was my first call today.
I love that humility. Jayme, what's the number one book you would recommend?
The Bible.
I love that.
Yep. I love the Bible. Yep. And so I just think you can, there's so much there. It's such a it's such a guide for me, and it has been for many years. And I think even in business, there's so much wisdom and the way, if you just start with people and how you treat people, the greatest commandment, when Jesus was speaking, he just said, love the Lord your God and love each other. Right. And so I just think that is kind of what drives me, is just trying to love the people that work here, our clients, and do right by people. And it's been a very good principle to live by.
Is that something that does that permeate your culture? Is that something that you talk about often or not?
I talk a lot about caring about people, and I don't have a pulpit anywhere here and preach on Friday afternoons, but I do try to talk to people about, just how important it is to care for others and treat others. And we have a lot of people here that, share a common faith, and we have, not everybody does. A lot of people come from different walks of life, and it's just, we meld well here together, coming from all these different paths. But it is a driving force for me, and I think other people as well.
How do you? When I was much less mature in my faith, I felt like this was a history book.
Yeah.
Ancient years ago, thousands of years ago, things that happened. How do you apply this to modern day? Because I got stuck in like, I'll read this personal development book and it'll teach me this thing. And then, there's just so much more wisdom in God's word. How do you kind of translate that to your life?
Some of it's just, it keeps me steady inside. So some of it's just making sure I'm in a good place. Humility, we talked about it. We all battle pride and ego, and but being humble and I've learned to listen. The 20-year ago, 30-year ago me didn't listen very well. I just talk, and I wasn't as caring about people. I mean, all those things I've been fortunate to have learned some of those things over the years. So, and that's where you see when you meet someone that's talk versus listen, right? You're just more endeared to that person that's a listener. And so learning that, being both over the years and learning that, I feel just, I don't know, the dad and the business owner and the grandpa in me wants to help people kind of, learn some of that, learn humility. And so it helps that way. I listen to a lot of people that teach. John Maxwell. I love listening to him, Craig Groeschel, Andy Stanley. There's a bunch of guys that are, some of them come from a business leadership role, and they have a faith that they intertwine with the way that they communicate. And then other people come from a place of, they're preachers, and they've crossed over in to provide some basic leadership training for those of us in business. So to me, it's always been kind of together, those common thing, mixing my faith and my business and my family and all that. So I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's kind of how I see it. I think there's a lot to be learned out of listening to men that have been there and that are that can teach. And I think there's a lot to be learned from the Bible itself. So
thank you for sharing that, Jayme. I appreciate that. For everybody that's enjoyed this half as much as I have, how can they find you online or connect with you or reach you?
Granite Technology Solutions. We're in Missoula, Montana, and we're all over Montana. But that's one way. Granite.tech's our website. LinkedIn. It's funny. My name is James Branson on my legal name, but I go by Jayme's. I mean, they named me that, the day I was born. They put James on my birth certificate. They call me Jayme. Didn't matter till 9/11, and now I'm host because my whole life was built around Jayme, and I'm a James. And my LinkedIn, they won't verify me because I've got the wrong name. I'm like, well, you're not really you because your name's wrong.
Wow.
So I'm on there, but I'm under Jayme, so it'll say that I'm unverified, but I'm been there for a lot of years. So you can find me on LinkedIn as well.
Love that. Make sure to take the opportunity to reach out to Jayme. I've gotten so much wisdom from this. Thank you for your gift of your wisdom and experience. And thank you for being on MSP Mindset today, Jayme.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.